Beep.
Here comes a new challenger!
Call, everybody. Rocky has graciously allowed me to be the next narrator in his top 10 fighting game characters. Well, top 70 through 60 out of 100. Call.
Number 70. Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax. Can't say I've ever played that one.
DBFC is a game that came out of fucking nowhere for me. Majority of the characters in this crossover of visual novels, or just mangaka in general, completely were off my radar. But I saw two characters that got me invested before I actually got to play the game, and that was bum-ass Kirito and the GOAT Shizuo Harajima. And when I found out that Shizuo was the grappler of the game, I was 100% all fucking in. This game is probably one of the most unexpected and wildest games to ever exist, in my opinion, because it is a game that is Dengeki Bunko characters made by French Bread, the guys who make Melty Blood and Under Night, and backed by Sega, which is why all of the stages are Sega properties. Under no circumstances should this work, but oh my lord, this game is so much fun. Y'all need to go grab this before the PSN store goes down on PS3, because you will not regret your decision. Also, Shizuo's the go watch Durara, and Kelty is an amazing assist, and Tora is right. Dokuro-chan is just a very violent bitch.
Number 69. The awesome Jackie Chan in Fists of Fire. Now that's an awesome game. I must have spent so many quarters trying to master Jackie Chan.
Being 100% fair, I really wish I could find an actual cabinet of this out in the wild that's not a galloping ghost, because I would genuinely want to know the experience of playing this thing on an actual cabinet. This game, I had no idea existed until I think I saw it on a Pandora at some con, and I can't remember the con that it was in. But seeing it and like, wait, Jackie Chan had not one but two fighting games? I only knew about, Action Kung Fu on the NES. Yeah, absolutely. But this game is a Kosoge as hell game, but I can say from experience that this game is absolutely hilarious and absolute fun. I played this game with Sally Foxheart. I played this game with Swole, and man, me and Swole have so much fun playing this dumbass game together. It's so silly. 3 Jackies. I think the roster is 10 characters, but it don't matter because we Thorsten's okay. Whoever the hell you are, Sam, we want to play with Jackie, and Admiral Jackie is the GOAT.
Number 68. Tekken 8. Probably the only Tekken I haven't played.
Despite this game's very, very strong start, it kind of slipped off very, very hard and very, very badly. And it's kind of a shame because at its core, it's really, really fun. Man, what a fall from grace. But the product is still solid. Tekken 8 is a game that I strictly got the PS5 for. This was the reason I own a PS5, and I don't regret it. It's still a fun game. It's still solid. I love the arcade quest because it's a really, really good way to do a tutorial. It's very, very aggressive. It's hyper aggressive. Some people would say it's too aggressive, but as somebody that is a rushdown specialist, this perfectly works in my favor, so I don't really mind too much. But the thing that I genuinely question about this is the balancing, for one thing. But taking all that aside, as a product, as a fighting game, it 100% delivers in what it does. The battle pass, I'm not a fan of. The monetization, the customization limiting, I'm really not a fan of, which is why out of all the Tekken games, this is probably the lowest that's going to be on the list. But what can you do? That's the age of the current gaming landscape. Oh well, I hope Bob's good. I'm not paying for him.
Number 67, Street Fighter vs. Tekken. Awesome game.
Now, in the opposite vein of Tekken 8, this game had a very, very rough launch. It's undeniable, it's well documented, it's legendary for all the wrong reasons, that how bad the launch of was for this game. However, on the flip side of Tekken 8, once the game got its stride a couple of years down the line, and right when they finished development with it, and then they started porting all the characters that were made for this into the last update of Street Fighter 4, which may or may not show up, we'll see. This game is actually entertaining and worth your money and worth your time. It's definitely shown its age, but it is a good time. The gem system is dumb. I can't even deny that. I'm not going to defend that. Gems are stupid, especially since the gems are, if you actually look at the store right now, they're based per side. So there are gems that are Street Fighter only, there are gems that are Tekken only, and these are gems that you still have to pay actual money for, which is dumb. Pay to win in any kind of fighting game is a very, very stupid mechanic. Man, I'm really complaining a lot this go around, aren't I? Whatever. The point is, Street Fighter Cross Tekken now is a pretty solid game. And if you can find it, again, before PSN shuts down on PS3, it'll be worth your while. At least you can still play online.
Number 66, Rage of the Dragons. I preferred the one about the dinosaurs. I forget what it was called. Prehistoric Rage or something. Primal Rage. Yeah.
Rage of the Dragons is a game that needs its flowers, especially among the wider fighting game scene, because without it, two things would not be here right now. The first thing is this fantastic game that, despite losing the license of Double Dragon, still feels like a Double Dragon fighting game, and it's very, very solid, I want to add. And two, without this game, we will not have the great, fantastic character known as Angel in KOF. But that is a story for another day. That is not what we're here to discuss right now. Right now, we're here to discuss this wonderful game that is really, really cool, visually speaking and mechanically speaking. I like the fact that there are barriers that bounce you up and can be used for juggles. I mean, I think X-Men vs. Street Fighter also did that, but it was only one stage, while this is a mechanic for multiple stages. And I like the fact that it combines the traditional KOF flow of combos and actually, which is I think is really interesting, the Mortal Kombat dialer combo system, when you land a CD attack and you get the button prompt to do the combo, be it on the ground or in the air. Very interesting mechanics, very interesting thoughts and concepts, and I think it came out relatively well. Johan can suck the fattest chode because fuck him, but it's a game on Neo Geo and SNK Boss Syndrome, even adjacently, as long as it's on the platform, is still going to exist. So take that what you will. Still a good game though.
Number 65, Street Fighter 2 HDR. Classic. Gotta go with the classics.
Of all the Street Fighter 2s, the one that I have the most amount of experience with personally was Super Street Fighter 2, because I played the ever loving hell out of it on Super Nintendo. However, the game that I have the most amount of fun with, and I know this is definitely going to be controversial coming from me, and by a lot of people are going to think I'm crazy for this, is Super Turbo HD Remix. Because taking away the fact that the game really looks nice, and the fact that the soundtrack was done by the excellent composers at the site OC Remix that I have frequented since I was a teenager back in like 2003, it is the fact that changing or simplifying some of those antiquated and busted ass motions is so good. It's what I think KOF 94 Rebout should have done. If 95 Rebout changed the motion inputs to make it so that it's more contemporary, like HDR did for Super Turbo, I think it probably might have been high on this list, real talk. But that aside, the game looks great. It's, if you can play Street Fighter 2, you can play HDR. And you know what? This is another game that needs to get some sort of re-release on modern consoles that isn't the Switch, because I see you Ultra Street Fighter 2 and I don't care. I want to play HDR, you know, with a controller that is made for fighting games, okay?
Number 64, Melty Blood Type Lumina.
My introduction to this franchise was at my boy Hardbread's place and playing at Cadenza on the PS2. And with that as my entry point, it's pretty funny that I didn't really play Actress Again, at least, you know, PC version, even though I should, because I played the crap out of it in the arcades back in Chinatown. But Type Lumina is such an interesting beast because it simplifies so much of the Melty format, and with its simplification, it made it a lot more fun and a little bit, dare I say, a little bit more freeform, if I'm going to be real. Of course, the characters will always be the selling point for me. In that case, I got Ciel, so I'm 100% happy. But seeing Miyako have so much speed and sauce compared to like the other games makes me very happy as a fan of Baji Kwan. And of course, we can't talk about Melty without that little fucking gremlin mecha arc. And we all know how much everybody loves that meaning little shit. But oh my god, Type Lumina is such an interesting game because it's fun and it's pretty solid, but I don't think it's the best Melty Blood game out there. I still think Actress Again is the better game, but I don't have enough time with Actress Again to fully cement it above Type Lumina in terms of fun. I don't know, maybe I'm weird.
Number 63, Battle Fantasia.
What happens when you decide to want to put a fantasy storybook in a fighting game form? You get this sleeper of a gem. Man, Battle Fantasia. I remember the days when this was an Xbox 360 exclusive for like a couple of years, and then it hit PS3, and me and my boy Mav, man, we had a lot of fun with it. And to be honest, I really like the originality of this game. Like, especially the character designs. I like Don Valve. Don Valve is such an interesting design. Face is so badass. Freed, my goat. Oh, he's such an awesome looking pirate design. And again, the aesthetic of it is like a storybook and a little bit of an RPG, but done in a fighting game. And fun fact, without this game, there would not be a DBFZ, because the director of DBFZ directed this game first. And this game is, for an Arc Sys game, very, very grounded and basic, which, you know, that's not a bad thing per se, but like coming from Arc System Works, having a game be very fundamental and very grounded is quite a shock, if I'm going to be real, because Arc Sys is known for their anime fighters. So if you want to get an Arc System Works flair game, but you don't want to deal with nonsense Flash like Blaze Blue, yeah, get Battle Fantasia, the old one too. It's on Steam, so I mean, you can try it on there.
Well, now that we've answered our phone, number 62, KOF the KOF. Why can't I say this fucking thing? Number 62, KOF EX2, Howling Blood.
You know, handheld fighting game installments are very, very peculiar for not just me as a fan, but for the general populace in general. Because when you think about it, how are you supposed to play a fighting game on a handheld that is very, very limited compared to what we have at arcades or in consoles? And then we have KOF EX2 Howling Blood, which is an amazing and a very, very interesting and fascinating experiment of a game. This game essentially is KOF 2000 on the go, with some new characters and obviously some omissions. But the fact is that this game is KOF 2000 and it functions superbly with what it has, especially considering that this game actually has 4 buttons, which is the standard layout for SNK fighters. No ABCD. So having all the buttons, having all the movement, having every single move in the game for each character, it's really, really fascinating to dive into. Because if you can play 2000, well, if you can play 2000 and get used to the control scheme on your hand, then you can play KOF EX2 Howling Blood. And the artwork by Hiroaki for this game is also really, really cool. I think this is probably one of my favorite art pieces for Kyo and Terry, and hell, even like Ryo, because Ryo looks really, really intimidating in this game. But yeah, I really, really enjoy this game, and I put so many hours into it back in the day. Man, there was only one game that wore out the cartridge, that wore out my GBA more, fighting game wise, but we'll get there when we get there.
Number 61, Street Fighter Alpha 3. I really love Street Fighter Alpha series. Not sure if I like 2 or 3 more, but probably 2. Probably 2 is the best. I made Birdie.
Yeah, remember that fighting game I was talking about that I wore my GBA out and the cart almost practically fell apart from me playing it so much? Yeah, it was Alpha 3 on the GBA. But in general, Alpha 3 is one of my favorite Street Fighters of all time. And it's mostly because of how well it flows as a Street Fighter game. Because, you know, custom combos are there, playing classic with Xism, but I am usually Alphaism loyalist because I like the 3-tiered level system, and they got it right this time with corresponding buttons being the strength instead of do the motion and then push multiple buttons to get it done, like in Alpha 1 and Alpha 2. And the roster for this game is absolutely bananas for a Street Fighter game at the time. I know a lot of it is reused assets and whatnot, because if we're gonna be real, every sequel is just, at least for the alpha games, every sequel was more or less an upgrade and a very, very, very noticeable mechanics overhaul. But man, so many good characters came from this. Karin, my favorite Street Fighter female. I 100% really like Karin, so much so that she kind of sold Street Fighter 5 for me before we all got a chance to play it and realized that it was dog shit. And being able to play with DJ in a more fluid game than Super Turbo and Super was really welcome. So yeah, despite the fact that you're gonna see a lot of max footage here, the Game Boy Advance version is the one that I have the most amount of hours and the most amount of time playing. It's really surprising how well that game came out.
Okay. And that's the list of 10. Wow.
Match of the century.